Make sure you
Oh.
unmute Amy so she can actually talk.
Say that again, Jason.
Oh, can you
She did.
oh, no, all right, good. We're good. Yeah, Amy was muted, so I got a little nervous there for a second.
All good. All good. Great. So I am Aideen Riada, founder, host of the Voice Summit, and this is our final session on today's summit, the 2025 Voice Summit. Your path, your voice, your power. And I have the pleasure of introducing Jason Wendroff-Rawnicki and Amy Lanci. Now, this session is going to be very interesting because it's about our memories. It's about how our past can be alchemized to be a positive within our future, and how we store all these memories, and they are undeniable, right? They stay with us, and we can work with them, we can transmute them, we can find ways to understand them, to give space for them. But what this session is really about is about making what is a very messy situation into something that makes sense and making it into even your life's purpose. They're going to be sharing why lived experiences, especially messy, painful ones, hold the key to finding your true voice, and how honoring what you've been through can help you stand taller, speak clearer, and share the message that only you can give the world. So I'm going to introduce Jason. He is a body-centered grief therapist, a best-selling author, keynote speaker, who helps people heal the issues in their tissues, the body tissues. Very good.
Yeah.
And Amy Lanci, a brand story coach, publishing guide, and founder of Untold Story Enterprises. Through her signature story map process, she helps her clients turn their lived experiences into memoirs that preserve legacy and bring healing. Welcome, Jason and Amy. I'm handing it over to you guys. Let's see what's going to happen next.
The excitement of the unexpected. Well, and I'm so glad that we're finishing off the day, because knowledge is really only potential power. It's when we put it into action. And when I sat down with Amy, I'm like, all right, we're going to break a little bit of the rules, because that's sort of who we are, to be authentic to ourselves and be a little bit of rule breaker and mix things up a little bit. So I just want to we're going to take a second to introduce ourselves, because that's how we made our message. When I was in college in about 96, I was planning on becoming a more traditional talk therapist. And then my sister Lauren died in a car accident in 1998. I realized that talk therapy wasn't going to be enough for me, and I needed to do something more. So I got really involved with yoga and meditation and mindfulness and just changing my whole lifestyle around. I realized I didn't want to be known as the guy with the dead sister. So I blocked that part of my identity out of my awareness. I tried to push it down, and it was not serving me in any way, shape, or form. And it wasn't until I started to explore the mess that it was creating in my life that I was just not doing well. I was not able to hold down a job. I was jumping from thing to thing and not really able to create the life that I wanted. And when I started to look in, and this goes back to what Rick was saying about that hero's journey, the call came and I pushed it away. I didn't want that. And so it took a long time to start to look at, okay, let me do more yoga. Let me do more introspection. Let me actually start to move my body. And the healthier my body got, I was able to deal with my grief more effectively, because I'm coming at it from a place of health and wellness, and not just from a depleted place to start with. And so that started my journey of learning more about how I can make myself healthier, step by step, not like, oh, I've done it, yay, I'm healthy. But I'm always, even now, 26 years later, still learning how to go with the flows of my season, noticing the flows of life that and adapting to it. So I really have taken my mess, and now I'm helping other people do the same. And so I've taken my mess, and it's absolutely 100% my message, but it's taken 26 years to get from there to here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jason, for telling our story in full vulnerability and honesty. And I'm so honored to share the stage with you, knowing how much you've been through and knowing how much wisdom you have to pass on. For just like Jason, I'm not a stranger to loss, and none of us in here are strangers to loss. You know, I was a speech delay child, and I went through 6 or 7 years of speech therapy. So I didn't have my voice from the start. I was just afraid of the world. I felt so much as a highly sensitive child. And then not only that, a few years into my childhood, my grandparents got sick. My grandmother had a stroke, and that led her to not only being paralyzed, but she couldn't speak, she couldn't eat, she couldn't walk. She was literally a prisoner in her body. And then my grandfather, her caretaker, got sick after, and he lost his memory. And so to see two people I really loved go through this for over the course of 15 years, that's a huge chunk of my life. And also not knowing my voice, it was painful to look at the past. It was painful to understand how could this happen. And, you know, I just want things to be better. And the thing is that, like, what I have found, the more I told my story in so many ways, the good things, the bad things, the messy things, the great things, the more I attracted people who told me their story, things that they had never said out loud before. People in grocery stores, people in airports, clients, people in networking meetings. They told me things I would have never uttered out loud had I never been in their presence. And I found that the moment they said that story, they came out a different person. And so I really love this topic because I know that when we embrace the past, when we do listen to those old stories, in full entirety, not just the negative aspects, that we are able to heal in such a way that we didn't know we needed to. And so that's why, like, I to me, that mess is in our message, because when we look at the past, that's mapping out what we've been through, the lessons we've learned, the wisdom we now have, our credibility as experts, and we are able to pass that on to the next generation. So I'll talk more about that when it's my turn in the presentation. But for now, I'm going to pass it back to Jason.
Yeah, because those stories are so important, because our body is a recording device, right? And it records all of the experiences that we've had up until now. Our present moment is just a reflection of all the decisions we've made from the past up until this moment. And our future is going to be the decisions we make from now moving forward. And those stories get locked up in the body. And so we're not just going to talk about the body and the way which it gets locked up. We're going to actually have an embodied experience. So if you could do this seated, but I want you to stand up if you can. And we're going to do a little bit of movement. So if you have, like, what do you call it? Plug-in earbud, just go with the speaker if that's possible. Hang on, I'm just going to, and then what I want you to do is, once you get standing, and you can do this seated. If you're sitting, sit up nice and tall. If you're standing, make sure your feet are like hips distance apart so that you can stand up really nice and tall, shoulders back, chest lifted. And then I want you to bring your hands onto your heart. I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to breathe into your heart and think of what is the story that is holding you back? What is this story that you've told from your past that's showing up in the present, that's maybe impeding you from moving forward? And what happens is our body gets into the fight, flight, freeze response, and it needs to complete that cycle. And as human beings, we don't always allow that to happen. We're afraid to shake it up. And that's what will actually help to complete the cycle. So we are going to do a little bit of shaking so that we can release that story that's limiting you and get it out of the cells of your body. So just take a moment to acknowledge that part of your story. And then when you're ready, I'm going to put on a little music. I want you to slowly crack open your eye. And I want you to start shaking your right hand. And then go up to the elbow. And then up into the shoulder. Give it a good shake out, right? We're gonna take our body parts separate and then we're gonna put it all together, right? And now the left hand, just give it a shake out. And you can be, if you have some like physical issues, just be gentle with yourself. Go up into the elbow and then up into the shoulder. Just give it a good, and then get both hands going. Just kind of let it go a little crazy, yeah. Just physically embody the movement, yeah. Awesome, now let's get down to the legs. Just to get the right hip going. Now make sure the pelvis isn't shifting, just go from your hip. Right? And then up to the knee. And then into the, maybe roll the ankle and the toes. And then just get the whole right leg shaking, go forward. Now just don't kick over any furniture, please. You know, right? And then go to the left. Just moving the hip. Good. And then the knee. And then the ankle and the foot and the toes. Awesome. Good. Bring your hands on your hips. Right? You make big circles. Just start by big circles. You're shaking what your mama gave you, right? Circle it in the opposite direction. Good. And then move it up into the chest. And then bring it up into the shoulders. And the arms and the head and the neck. And then just let the whole body just shake out. Because when you move your muscles, you change your state, the way you feel in the moment. Good. And then make sure you go into the tush too, right? Get the tush going. Let's get everything going. And we're gonna shake for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, good. 3, 2, good. 1, and come up to stand up nice and tall again. And then just bring your hands on your heart one more time. Close your eyes and breathe. Notice how you feel. Notice what's happening in your body. Notice the 5 senses. What are you touching? What are you smelling? What are you tasting? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? You just take 3 deep breaths. Because when you move your body, you just change the way you experience life. Good. And then when you're ready, good. Crack your eyes open and come down to your seat. Notice how that frees up. When we start to move, when we start even just a simple movement, going for a simple walk, like it doesn't need to be complicated. It just shifts and changes everything, even internally.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jason.
You're so welcome.
Later.
Yeah, when we just talk about like the body, like I'm like, well, let's have a body experience. Let's get in, like we don't, yeah, because we also sometimes will talk about how we feel rather than actually feel the thing that we feel, or we'll think about how we, think rather than actually learning to manage that a little bit more effectively. And also how it's connected to our source, to our higher power. So when you're letting your mess be your message, you're also connecting to that, your life's purpose as well. So
absolutely. Everything is all connected. I said that before during Katharina's and Aideen's talk, and I could see that all throughout the speakers. Everything's all connected.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, the body has made its way to the Voice Summit. The body, the heart, the mind, the soul.
Yeah, and it's important to look at those relationships, right? Like when we change the way we think, it changes the way we feel, it changes what we do. But also when we change what we do in our physical body, it changes the way we feel, it changes the way we think. And when we change the way we feel, we also make changes. So you have to, it's about adjusting and readjusting, finding those little tweaks and how to really live out your true purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess it helps to dovetail to what I'm going to be talking about. First of all, before I move forward, does everyone have a piece of paper and a pen? If you don't, please go grab one. And if you do, I think everyone seems to be pretty prepared. Awesome. Wow. Awesome. Jason, do you have anything else to add before I?
No. Go ahead. Well, and now that we've released the old story, right, the thing that's holding us back, let's bring in the new one, right? Let's bring in a new story, right?
Let's bring in the new story. So, I want to just kind of, here's the context of where I'm coming from for this next segment. Here's a story. Yesterday, I have a 10-year-old daughter. Her name's Autumn, and she's like the mirror reflection of my inner child, if you can imagine that. Yesterday, we got into a disagreement. She was upset about something outside of us, and some words were said. And as we were amending things, she looked at me with this. I told her, like, honey, everything's okay. And she looked at me with this tear-soaked face, and she said, how can everything be okay? I can't fix the past. You know how heartbreaking that was for me to hear that. And but immediately when she said that, the words dropped into me, and I told her, honey, it's not about fixing the past. It's about fixing the relationship, which is exactly what we're doing right now. And that's the crux of what me and Jason want to tell you guys, is that it's not about how could I have changed the past. It's more about how can we move forward from here. When you think about memories, those are stories from the past. And what we do now in the present is writing what will come in the future. Okay. So, okay, bye, Regina. So what I want you all to do with your piece of paper is, this is a journaling exercise I've only done on myself. I've rarely shared this with anyone, so you guys get a first peek at this. So I call this word coaching. And so this will be like normal journaling, but has a few little twists. So I want you, for 1 minute, journal on this question. Think about a pattern that you broke in your lineage, something that happened in your family over and over again. And when it came to you, you did something different. And so I want you to kind of write down what that was. And I want you to also write down why you broke that pattern and how you did it. So I'll give you 1 minute to do that. And if you prefer short statements like bullet points over whole sentences, that's fine. As long as you write some words having to do with those points. So again, what is a pattern that you broke that ran in your lineage? Why did you do it and how? I'll give you guys another 30 seconds. I know it's not a lot of time, but. I have to chat too. All right, thank you, Marilyn. See you later. She had to get going. Um, okay, I'll give you guys like another 10 seconds. I am a stickler for time. You guys have not noticed that. Okay, all right. So, all right, we are going to move on to the next step in word coaching, which is now.
I think
I want you to look at the words that you wrote down. Uh-oh, did you? Oh,
you
okay.
froze. You froze for a second. Yeah.
I froze. Okay, that's okay. All right. So just to repeat myself, I want you guys to look at what you wrote. Not so much, oh my gosh, how did I say this? Did I say this right? No, no, no. I want you to look at the words you wrote. Go to each individual word and check with your intuition and underline the ones that your intuition pinged. Even if
Poor Amy. We can't hear everything she's saying.
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
is or
I don't know if
the,
she.
like, I want you to underline those words.
Ooh. Amy,
Come
you
on.
may want to turn off your video temporarily.
Okay. Okay.
That's better.
So
Yeah, yeah.
the last thing we heard was to underline the
right, so-
words.
Yeah, underline all the words that your intuition pings. It's pinging. You know, just if your intuition is like, oh, that one. Done on the bottom part of the page, write down all the words that you underlined. And your homework is to look at that bank of words, because I guarantee you that there is a there's a hidden message for you there. But what I have learned is that the things that we say, that the things that we tell ourselves, the things that we say to other people, there's some hidden message that you need to hear. You can do this. You can do this, connection.
So Amy, let's go back over to Jason, and you're coming to the end of the time allotted for your stuff, and unfortunately you're breaking up a lot. So would you be comfortable me handing over to Jason to
Shoot. Okay.
summarize?
Sure. Go ahead.
That's fine. So what it comes down to is that our body recognizes our old stories, and some of those stories hold us back from expressing ourselves and finding our voice. And we have to actually make that mess our message by looking at the words that we use and the language that we use and the meaning that we give things, so that this way we can tell our story in a way that is going to help and serve other people.
Mm. No, I love that. And one of the things was when you said, when we were talking, I think, Jason, you said there's something that you need to, what the thing was, what was it that was holding you back, or something that was, yeah. So I had that in my mind. And then Amy said, pick something that that you've already overcome. So I was here with these two concepts, and I started to realize the thing that I've overcome is
Mm.
is there, and then the thing that I still want to deal with is still there, and they both come from the same source, from my family and everything.
Yeah.
So there's this idea then that we have to find those stories to acknowledge them. Would you say that that's something that you encourage people to do, that not just skim over, like to actually go digging for these things?
Well, so I wouldn't use the word digging, right? Because we can let our past dictate our future, or we can not let that happen, right? We can let our future be different than our past. So our past does not have to dictate our future. It could if we take camp in our past stories, right? Like, so I would say sometimes we need to visit those stories and embrace them and acknowledge them in order for us to move forward. Because, and I'll give you my own personal example. For many, many years, when I grew up, I was the loser. I was overweight. I was not healthy. And actually, that's one of the family things that I've overcome, is my road to health and wellness. But for a very long time, I carried the story with me that I'm a loser, and actually the loss of my sister followed that storyline, because, oh, I'm a loser. I get picked last for sports. I get stuffed in lockers. I get picked on at school. And so that story kind of stopped me from actually moving forward. It wasn't until I started to embrace the story that I am a champion, which is also true, and both can exist at the same time. I just get the choice of which one I listen to. So I don't want to put the loser part of my story in a locker anymore. I want to acknowledge him because he has some needs that need to be met, and so does the champion. But me, I get the choice of which part of myself to listen to.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I absolutely agree with that. We get to write the next chapter of our story. If I look at my childhood, I was often told I was sensitive. Like that was a bad thing. That was something to be ashamed of and work on, and that I didn't have a tough skin and I was not resilient. And to be able to not just write my own story based on that, but to also have a daughter who, she's very much in her emotions. She's very much like I was. And to be able to parent her in such a way where I nurture that part of her and I tell her like that's a gift of hers, like that gives me that allows me to pass on to the next generation something that is full of light, something that she can pass on to her daughter too, and her son and whoever comes after us.
It's beautiful. We're coming up to the time for breakout rooms. So we just have a few people in there: Marvis, Marilyn, Mary Jane, and B. Um, if you're all okay, I can do two breakout rooms so that you get to be just with one other person if you're available to that. If you can't do the breakout room, put it in the chat, and then I'll just make sure to reallocate stuff. So there is a question for the breakout room, and I have it right here. If I can get out of the participants and into the chat, here we are. In your body, where do your past stories live? How are the stories from your past affecting your life in the present? So let's put you guys into the breakout rooms and go from there. Opening up now. See, one person's gone into the breakout room. Two. Marilyn, are you able to go into the breakout room or no? I will just move that person. So Marilyn, whenever you're ready to come back, you can let me know. Any of the speakers want to speak to this point? There was one other question that I had that was, let me see here.
Oh, Michelle has one.
Michelle, go ahead. Let me unmute you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out to stop the recording, maybe.
Oh, yeah, thanks.